my channel. So I was really craving Korean fried chicken, and actually I'm Korean, so this is all up in my alley or right up my alley. And yeah, I thought this would be a great meal to share. I know a lot of people love fried chicken in general, but trust me, if you haven't had Korean fried chicken, I highly recommend it. So good. I mean, depending on where you go, but generally they deep fry it in olive oil, and I think that just like kind of makes a difference. It just makes the chicken taste a little bit cleaner, but still delicious because it's still fried in oil. But yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and enjoy this meal together. I don't know how many people even watch this or if anyone watches this at all. Either way, it's kind of fun to record yourself eat, because I don't know, like normally if I'm eating by myself, I'm just watching a TV show or something and I'm silent, but with these mukbangs, I have an opportunity to talk, even if that's just to myself. But yeah, and today I thought I would actually talk about a topic, just because my last video, I think I was just all over the place saying random facts or random things about my life, and that was just kind of unorganized. So I have a topic today that I'm gonna talk about, and it's actually about being Asian, even more so being Korean, and being overweight. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I ain't no skinny mini. And just growing up being like kind of overweight and not fitting into that stereotypical mold that most Asian women are, which is, you know, not really struggling with their weight, like a size 2 or 4 or something, and just that's such a big part of Korean culture, your appearance and specifically your weight. So thought that'd be something interesting to talk about, hear my take on it, my opinions about it, because I actually have a lot to say about it. So let's get started. My food has been just cold. I finished work an hour ago. I'm supposed to finish at 5:30, but last minute deadlines and things like that, so my food was just sitting cold. So I'm ready to dig in, and let's begin. So I actually got 2 kinds of chicken. One is just like the regular like fried chicken. Let's see, you guys can see this, but I just got like regular fried chicken, the original, and then on the left side, that's like the honey garlic type. It's like a mixture, but these are super good. Also, to be festive, I have my bird, my Christmas bird that I got at Target. Best $5 I've ever spent, honestly. Just like makes you in a good mood looking at it. It's festive. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and then I also have which is which is Korean radish. It's really good. Apparently this is really bad for you. It's just radish pickled in like some kind of sugar vinegary mix. It's great to balance out like all the oily food that you're gonna consume, because I have fried chicken, and I also got fries because I'm a huge fry person. Okay, so my plate here. It's kind of spicy. I thought it was just like the plain original. Maybe the plain original has like some spice on it. I don't know. It's good. Mm-hmm. Mm. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I got a side of ketchup because I knew I would want this with my fries at some point. We better start now than later. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna try the honey garlic. I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh my god, could you hear the crunch? Oh my god. It's really mild flavored. Mm. What is this, honey garlic? That's actually like right on the money. It tastes just like honey and garlic. And with the crunch of the skin, oh, it's actually a really good combination. Mm. Mm-hmm. I got everything from BBQ chicken or barbecue chicken. It's a Korean fried chicken chain. I mean, definitely on the West Coast, they're going to be everywhere. If you're in California specifically, I'm not sure where else they'll be, but it's called BBQ chicken. Mm-hmm. you're just like so happy to eat, like even if you're having like the worst day ever, whether it's work or just something in your personal life went on, and then you look forward to this great meal and all your troubles just go away. I mean, maybe that's only like fat asses, but hey, if being a fat ass means you're happy, then be happy. Be a fat ass. Now to discuss the topic that I mentioned earlier about being basically a fat Asian girl, and kind of my experience growing up being more overweight, just not fitting that typical mold that most people perceive Asian women to be, just kind of generalizing women, and my thoughts on it. Okay, let's start with another. I'm gonna go for the original again this time. The original was spicy, so I kind of like that more. So, as I said, I am not small by any means. I'm pretty tall, like 5'6.5". I wouldn't say that I'm like morbidly obese, but I'm definitely overweight, or maybe like average. I don't know, after quarantine, I'm definitely probably overweight. But actually, even before getting to kind of like my current size right now, I was actually like, oh my gosh, like 20, 30 pounds heavier at my heaviest, maybe more. But I was a chunky monkey, and it really affected my self-confidence, my self-esteem when I was younger, especially in high school, when, you know, that's kind of when you develop hormonally, you go through puberty. Actually, I went through puberty like in 8th grade or 7th grade, so, you know, regardless, high school is when you start realizing that, oh, you know, more people are getting into relationships. That's kind of when I saw like crushes manifesting into something like relationships, you know, within amongst my peers, as opposed to like, I don't know, middle school, people just had crushes, but it was something just to talk about amongst your friends, I'm assuming. I don't know the mind of a middle schooler anymore, just because I'm in my late 20s now. But back then it was, you know, it wasn't until high school that people started really getting into relationships and exploring themselves physically. Oh, is this cringy or what? But anyways, me being overweight, just as a high school girl, that was rough, right? Because I wasn't getting male attention. You just see more relationships transpiring. And so when I realized that that was a thing, you know, it grew my desire more to seek out a relationship, or yeah, get male attention. But it was rough because, I mean, throughout high school, again, I wasn't like hugely overweight, but I was definitely overweight enough where I wasn't, a lot of guys didn't like me. I generally like Asian men. Everyone growing up in that environment, Asian men that sought out Asian women, you know, went for the typical, I don't know, this is kind of a, I don't like using this example, but it's like the best example to illustrate what I'm trying to say. But K-pop stars, K-drama idols, they were the image of what Asian women were supposed to be. like that they were supposed to represent what Asian women were supposed to look like. I definitely did not fit into that mold in any way. So basically what I'm trying to say is that Asian men didn't like the type of Asian woman that I was. So that was kind of, that was interesting. Although I did technically get into a relationship with an Asian guy in high school, my freshman year. But yeah, that's a whole nother story. To kind of move on from that, that's kind of the foundation of what I grew up with, what I was thinking, and that's kind of what I had to believe for a lot of my youth and growing into my young adulthood, and even kind of spilling over to my adulthood, honestly. So I guess to relate all that to my present time, all the people that I was in relationships with were Asian. Mm. And the reason I feel like I even still think to this day that Asian men still want a thin Asian woman. There were many times in my relationships with each of my exes where I felt like, oh, I needed to lose weight, or that my weight was a flaw in me, and that I needed to fix it or work on it or something like that. It was always like, it was always something. It was never a non-issue, to an extent. I mean, I might be exaggerating, just because all these relationships ended, so I don't have like positive perceptions of my exes. But yeah, I just feel like it, even to this day, as I was saying, and that I don't feel like I'm going to be desired fully if that I'm not a certain weight. Um, because it's like, okay, there's an Asian man who is interested in me and is like, oh, well, I like Asian women and she looks Asian, so that fulfills that. But oh, you know, she's kind of fat. It's like that always is something that runs across through my brain, that I'm not good enough. I'm not just there yet. Which sucks. To be honest, I think specifically being Korean like takes it to a whole nother level, because yes, like generally all Asian women tend to be thinner, but it's like with Korean culture having so much exposure internationally, it's they take that image of what a Korean woman is supposed to be like and kind of project that onto every Korean woman that they encounter. And I'm not saying this is always the case, but I feel like that's what I've kind of noticed. Yeah, so it's a little rough. Um, Yeah. Anyways, I'm a terrible eater. So I don't know what are the thoughts to say on that. If any of you Asian girls are also going through the same thing, or just women in general. I mean, I know different cultures, they also experience the same thing. It's not just like Asian culture. I've heard from like my Mexican friends that, yeah, like they kind of have the same, they have the same standard put on them as well too. Just all women in general are meant to be oppressed, I guess. Which sucks. But I mean, I know the body positivity movement celebrates all bodies, right? You know, I know it stemmed more from women who were fatter, essentially, but it's become inclusive, or like I think the original message was to be inclusive of all body types, whether you were thin, because I know that women who are underweight experience a lot of insecurity as well too. But I think my question would be to women who are underweight and feeling insecure about it, would you rather be underweight or overweight? I know that's kind of like a really messy subject because a lot of women tend to become underweight because they had body dysmorphia and they perceive that they were overweight, and so they took part in really destructive habits that was often out of their control, like over exercising, under eating, like severely under eating, you know, being bulimic. But I don't know. I think all women have their struggles, I guess. That's all I'm going to say about it. I hope to all my Asian sisters out there, especially the ones who feel like they're struggling with their self-confidence because of their weight, like genuinely being overweight, you know, girl, it's like it's so cliche to say, but that man ain't right for you. If he makes your weight a problem, then he's the problem, not you. And it takes time to realize that. I think that's something that I need to really realize as well. I mean, I'm always constantly thinking that I need to diet, which honestly, I probably should just for like purely for my health. but it's always something. Like my thoughts, every time I have like a reset and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take these next 3-4 months to like lose 30 pounds or something. My thought is always, so I can look good, so I can get a new man. Usually this whole like weight loss reset is usually inspired by a breakup, which is sad. I always like attribute the failure of any of that like to my weight, which is such like negative thinking. I know there's like, it's like deep down I know that wasn't the issue, but my brain just automatically goes to that and reasons with that, and it's not good. Anyways, I don't really have any clear thoughts on this topic. I'm really just like free range thinking. I just wanted to share my experience with you guys because I know a lot of YouTubers on here, because there is a big Asian American YouTube community that I've noticed, which is great. You know, we have so much more representation in a very like white dominated society, especially in the media. So it's great that YouTube is a platform for a lot of Asian Americans to get exposure. I think that's great. But I don't really consider myself plus sized. So I just consider myself more like mid size, I guess. The mid size Asian woman is not really represented, in my opinion. Just kind of a normal Asian body type. And I don't know, not that I plan to like make this channel about fashion or anything. Honestly, I'm not sure what the direction of my channel is gonna be, but I just really like doing mukbangs because it's like I get to eat. Who doesn't like to freaking eat, right? It's kind of my excuse to like order good food. I need all the honey garlic ones because it's probably gonna be not as good. Mm. Mm. As I was saying, I don't plan to like be a like showcase like my fashion because honestly it's really boring. But maybe. I just think that's why YouTube is so great, because it gives like ordinary people the opportunity to showcase themselves to the public and to like have their voice heard, show them that they exist, and if even one person can relate to that YouTuber or that person who makes YouTube videos, I think that's great. That's like all the people I watch. people that I relate to. I enjoy their content. Okay, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I don't have much else to say, but yeah, I just hope you enjoy my content. If anyone's watching, either way, I enjoyed a great meal. Please consider subscribing or subscribe. But if you enjoy my mukbangs, please join. Please subscribe to my channel, join my family, whatever this is, just for more content. And have a wonderful rest of your evening, and stay well. Bye.